Hello and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here for instant post-match reaction to Nottingham Forest 0, Leeds United 1, an opening day win. Leeds United's first victory against Forest in the top flight since the 1971-72 season. So another Farker record chalked up there. I'm Stephen Brown. With me to discuss everything with today's match is, of course, Jason Booker. If you watch along live, smash your comments in, get a like on the video, and also subscribe to the channel. Wow, amazing. It's so many emotions with this one. A really tight game, Jay. Not much in it. You could have easily seen it petering out to a 0-0 in the end, but we get that free kick, and the man does what the man does from free kicks. Anton Stack, who we're going to discuss as well a little bit later on, smashes it home. Absolutely delighted to pick up a win. I've got to admit, see it coming in the kind of last 10 or 15 minutes. I would have been happy with the point, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. But we've done it opening day weekend, and it feels like we're in a different graveyard. You know, the second season under Bielsa, we didn't get a win for 2 months or something. So to get off the mark like this, absolutely brilliant.
I don't think it should be understated just how big of a win this is.
No.
You know, most teams wouldn't have wanted to go to the City Ground on the opening day of the season with a new manager like Glasner.
No.
And we went there, we shut the place down, we quietened it down in the first half. I thought we were by far the better team in the first half an hour. Yeah, they had patches, but, you know, we were unfortunate probably not to be in front. Wilson's obviously offside. But there were other couple of half moments as well that we had some beautiful passages of play. Thought we looked really, really good first half. Second half, they were much better. But I don't want to get ahead of myself too much and bouncing around analysing the game as of yet. But like I said, I don't think it can be overstated just how big of a win this is. And I think we've seen another step of an evolution of this team. I think we've seen the integration of some of these players that we'll get into that are just going to elevate us so much. I mean, my word, were there some good performances out there as well. And ultimately, I said to my lads I were watching the game with the boys, and with about 10 minutes to go of normal time, I said this could go 1-0 either way now. Like, it's very finely balanced, and thankfully it did go our way. Because I'm like you, I'd have been happy with it petering out to a 0-0. I'd have seen it as a good point. So great result, great overall performance, and buzzing.
Yeah, indeed. Skip, a tough away start to the season. 3 points are so welcome. This team showing so much fight and togetherness, and Daniel Farker has progressed with the team, absolutely. And I don't think we got a result like that last season where, for me, I would probably say it was maybe 65-35 in Forest's favour in terms of the flow of the game and the feel of the game. I thought we had a strong first 25 minutes. I thought we had a really strong opening second half for about 10 minutes. I thought Forest had the rest of it. And I think last season, you know, we'd never even get a sniff of a win if in that kind of situation. Like you say, fast forward, that evolution to kind of grit it out, kind of see it through defensively so tight. And then we've got the quality. We know Anton's got that in his back locker. He can do that. So I think it does show a step forward. I think it shows an evolution. I think it shows us something that we didn't really have in the locker last season. You know, first time in the Premier League, and not as much quality on the pitch as we've got this season. Terrific, I thought.
The only game that was comparable last season was the Brighton at home game.
Yeah,
and they were better than Forest and probably had more of the game, but we kind of nicked it late on, as we know. But we say that Trafford didn't have much to do outside the save in the first half from the header. I forget who it was, but
yeah,
outside of that, he didn't have loads to do. He looked pretty comfortable. So yeah, hey, I just think this team, they're extremely difficult to beat. I think they're really, really difficult to beat, and I think we'll concede very few goals against teams that are in and around where we want to be in the division. You know, you're always going to get picked apart from time to time by the very best in the division, your Arsenals, your Cities, etc. But mate, look, we've got so much to be excited for this season. You know, the season started last night. We've seen Coventry completely get swept aside. And then we see Manchester United go and lose away at Hull today 2-0, which is just insane, isn't it?
Ipswich have won, by the way, as well.
Well, I mean, Jack Clark as well, going back to Sunderland, which is funny. But, you know, the the Wolves are going to be at the door of Sunderland, and we'll obviously come to them as the season goes on. But back-to-back seasons in which two teams that have been promoted have won on the opening day of the season. We didn't see that in years before, and then we did it last season with Sunderland, and Ipswich and Hull have done it this season. So there's an opportunity for us to really break into a certain section of the division, given all the changes around the division with managers, etc. The games, the volume of games that some of them other teams are going to have, and just the quality that we've got and the togetherness that we've got. You know, this team is far more than just individual quality, which is exciting.
Yeah, indeed. John, great result, points on the board. I think that's what it is. It just to get that first win out of the way, Jay. Because, you know, no doubt, I mean, if you do lose, and, you know, we said before, no big, difficult away game, but, you know, these things can become a monkey on your back. I remember last time when we came up with Bielsa of the second season, it was like, okay, we've been thrashed away at Scum. We haven't won the next one. We haven't won the next one. We haven't won. And all of a sudden, the pressure starts to build. And then before you know it, you're in a dogfight. And look, these promoted teams, I mean, they were getting written off, Jay. It might not be as straightforward as that.
Yeah.
It might not be as straightforward as them just, you know, kind of coming up and going straight back down. So we've got to really be on it to first of all, secure another year in the Premier League. And what a fantastic start to that.
Well, I mean, there will be some teams that are already sweating, you know, with Hull and starting like this. You know, Sunderland, Fulham, Palace, I think especially them three, I think their fans will be like, there's been a lot of change, you know, not Sunderland as much in terms of change, but the other two, there's been a lot of change. You know, we've recruited in a massive gamble, really. You know, all of the recruitment areas for them teams have been a big gamble. And I think Sunderland, I think the honest fans amongst them will be like, we massively overachieved last season. We were hugely out of position. They'll know that they need to be better, and to start the season off by losing against Ipswich. And for them to, you know, they've given themselves, obviously we're game week 1 out of 38. There's a long way to go. But in terms of getting them points on the board, starting the season with a win for them two is absolutely massive.
Huge. Just like us last year against Everton, to get that opening day win, so vitally important. Let's get into some players then, because I'm itching to kind of talk about some of the performances today. I want to start with my man of the match, and that's Xhaka Biol. I thought he was absolutely immense, and it's funny with him because it's almost like, not that he's become like the forgotten man, but, you know, you've got Tariq, obviously he's the shiny new centre back, and you know, Biol, it's like, you know, we just take him for granted a little bit. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. What I love about him as well is when he's on the ball is his composure. I think we've got a couple of players sometimes that can be a bit guilty of going into headless chicken syndrome a little bit. Xhaka never does. He never goes into headless chicken moments. I thought it was absolutely superb. Everything he had to do defensively, mopping it up. We know what he's like. He's a brick wall, man. He's an absolute brick wall. And I just can't help but feel that back line, like you said, are going to be really difficult to score against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try and keep my Pascal Struijk slander down to a minimum this season after game week 1, because it's the first opportunity that we've had to really compare and talk about the whole thing. And we'll get to talking about Tariq as the show goes on. But having Tariq next door to Biol can only give Biol even more reassurance of how much cover he's got. I thought Xhaka, he was my man of the match as well, by the way. He was unbelievable. Read everything. His game awareness was excellent. He was brilliant in the air against Jesus, then Chris Wood. He was bodying players. His distribution, his composure, everything was almost perfect. There was only one moment I went out to go to the toilet and my lad said that he got nearly let Chris Wood in. Apparently I missed it. But there was one moment and I missed it. So everything else, he was literally perfect. And like I said, I think the two alongside him just allows him to do his thing with such assurance. But complete brick wall, mate. He honestly was brilliant. It was so good to watch.
Yeah, well, fantastic. And if he stays kind of fit, you know, he's just a stalwart. He's just in there. It's a no-brainer. Next to him, then, the new man, Murahamovic, his first full debut. I thought he was just so... It's like he'd been playing for Leeds for like 5 years or something. It was just slotted straight in, did everything you would want to do, nearly scored as well. I was like, oh, if he'd got that in, unbelievable. Like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. A really solid performance, so much to build on, so much to be excited about.
He got too much on it, didn't he? You know, if it had been a bit more of a glancer, it had gone away from the keeper, but it were quite direct. It was great header. Mate, I thought it was excellent. Again, his game reading, his awareness. There was one moment where they were hitting us on the break and Chris Wood were about to be put through on goal, and you could just see Tariq's body positioning of the way that it was running to keep his eye on where the ball was going to go. He mopped up for the fact that Rodon was out of position. Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. Again, making sure that we're bringing his teammates into playing the right way. His distribution was really, really good. And he was just seamless. Defensively, again, not that I want to bring up Pascal too much, but you could just see the difference. There was one moment in the first half, and I really clocked it as an acknowledgement. He had he was running back towards Trafford, and Pascal would have played it back to James Trafford. 100% he would have done. But Tariq had the ability and the wherewithal to be able to play it back inside, and it opened up a huge space for Brendan to run forward. I think it was actually when Bogle then crossed it for Wilson. I think it was the beginning of that move. If you go and watch it, it'd have been easy for Tariq to pass it back to Trafford, but he cuts the pass inside, and we've beaten the press then. And it's just these bits of quality, and that's what you pay big money for. And you know, I'm delighted we've got him there. I think he's an absolute Rolls Royce.
Yeah, indeed. Finishing off the centre-back trio, Joe Rodon. I've got to admit, by the end of the game, I was very, very frustrated with Joe. I thought, I mean, he was fine. And I think, you know, we were chatting a couple of minutes before he came on, and you mentioned about the knock that he picked, and he didn't kind of get it together. I just thought there were a few key moments where he was giving that ball away in that right centre-back position, and it was really frustrating because we were really struggling to keep the ball for more than 2-3 seconds. I mean, we you know, as soon as we were having the ball, they were just swallowing us up. And Joe in that position, you know, if you're going to nail down that position for the rest of the season, you know, that distribution has to be on point. It has to be, you know, and there's a guy there, James Justin, who we know can do that. And Elvedi, we don't know what we're going to get with Elvedi until, you know, if he comes in, I would expect on Tuesday and shows what he can do, then I think there's certainly going to be a jostling for position there. But a little frustrated with Joe today. I mean, I've gone big on backing him, obviously signed a new contract at stalwart of the team, great personality and character. I think there's got to be more quality on that possession. I thought he put us under a lot of pressure in that last 20 minutes.
I thought there were a lot of moments down that right-hand side, especially in the second half, where we were wasteful. But it weren't just Joe for me. I thought Bogle was guilty of it as well. I didn't think Stack had a great game. And I know we'll probably isolate Stack separately, but I thought outside of, obviously, the way that the goal comes around and we know what he can do, but I thought it was very wasteful. I think Joe really got affected after that knock. I don't think he quite looked comfortable. And we were under quite a bit of pressure from like the 70th minute to the 85th minute. We were under a lot of pressure. So we were turning the ball over much quicker. And because we didn't have three men in the midfield at that point, Ampadu and Stack were having to cover a lot of ground to try and keep us in the game. So it's a difficult one because it's not sometimes always just individual ability or technique or anything like that. It sometimes can be the system that's not quite working around. But I completely hear what you're saying. And I think, at the end of the day, Elvedi will keep all three of them on their toes. You know, we've seen this performance from Yaka. I think Tariq will play every single game that he's fit, regardless. More so because he's left-footed, but his talent as well. But the other two, they're going to have to be absolutely on it because they've got a very experienced top international in Nico Elvedi that's going to be chomping at the bit for that spot. He's going to want to start games and play games week in, week out. So, I hear you, but I'm not overly concerned by it.
Yeah, well, and this is the benefit of having options, is it? A better quality option. It never felt, last season Sebastian Bornau would actually take one of those centre-back positions, where it feels like now maybe there's a real contender there to go and nick it. Goalkeeper James Trafford, his first full debut competitively as well. The crowd were getting on him, weren't they? But I thought he handled everything so well. Made a really good save first half. Distribution, I think there were one wayward kick, but he just carries himself and the presence and everything. Thought he slotted in really well. But like you mentioned, didn't have too much to do.
No, I didn't. But it's nice to feel like you've got a goalkeeper that's going to save the things that he should save. That's it. We haven't had that for years. And when he saves that header, it's a decent save, but it's not a save that I wouldn't have expected him to make. But it is a save that I would have maybe thought would have been missed by Darlow, Perry. And I know Darlow were all right, but it's a save he should make. He looks confident and assured. He came and collected a couple of really difficult crosses. His distribution was good. He's got a swagger. There's a borderline of arrogance, but as long as it comes across and it's confidence, it's fine. I thought it was brilliant in what he had to do, and I'm sure we'll see. I'm sure James Trafford will win us points. I'm absolutely convinced of that, and I think the defence will feel confident having him behind them.
Yeah, 100%. Dav, last season we would have drawn or lost 1-0. Defence has improved. Attack will come. Moving into midfield, then let's talk about Stack. I thought he kind of followed up, and I got to admit, I didn't see the last pre-season game where people said he seemed to be kind of back at it. It was more kind of what I'd seen previously in pre-season from Stack. The passing was slightly off. It's slightly under hit passes, the timing of things not quite on the ball. There was a really good Leeds United move, and he had such an easy pass to make and kind of overhit it around the play. And it's like him, for play of his capability, that's bread and butter. And I was getting a bit frustrated with Stack, and then he goes and smashes it home and gets you 3 points. And I mean, the thing is, with someone with his level of talent, Jay, the fact that there's goals and assists in his game, I'm sure within 3-4 games we'll get kind of full back to his best version of Stack. Maybe he's just taking a little bit longer to get up to speed. There has to do a lot of work, like in that midfield you mentioned there. It was a lot of covering. I mean, I'm sure Stack's clocked up unbelievable amount of coverage on that pitch today. But yeah, kind of mixed. But he's won as the game, Jay.
I think that when you've got three midfielders, as in Stack, Longstaff, and Ampadu together, they can cover that ground, and I think he can then be more effective when he gets in and around the attacking phase of the game, because he's probably got a little bit more energy around him, a little bit more energy about him. What we're going to see a little bit of this season is probably us be a bit more attacking in terms of the selections. So when you've got Calvert-Lewin, Harry Wilson, and Brendan Aronson, and Brendan gets through an unbelievable amount of work, but he's still really in the attacking third of the pitch, you're then leaving this situation where you've got Ampadu and Stack as the midfielders, and it leaves them doing a lot of work. So I get it. I thought today was a little bit... I thought it was a little bit pedestrian is probably the best word. I thought he was rambling around a little bit in the attack, a little bit slow in terms of thought and sharpness, but maybe that'll just come with games, and we know how good he is. And the strike is what Stack does. I think the keeper should save it, if I'm honest. Himself should do better. I think he's a little bit flat-footed and he don't get across, but he's so worried about it going towards the back post.
That's surprising that Stack does so well on free kicks, isn't it?
He can just whip it towards that near post. And it, it wins us the game, and that is what you want with match winners. Sometimes that's why you keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch even though he's not playing well. It's why you keep Okafor on the pitch when he's not playing well, because they can come up with moments like that. I'm telling you, mate, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we are one, I think, creative spark away from being a really, really, really good team. Really, really good team. I really liked so much of what we saw today. Tactically, I thought we were brilliant in terms of the way that we set ourselves up. I mean, we've not even talking about missing Gabby Goodmunson either, who improved us immeasurably. So, loads to like, mate. But I'm not overly worried with Stack. It'll come.
Yeah, indeed. Moving up the pitch, you mentioned Aronson before as well. I thought Aronson was absolutely superb. I think he's just tricky, devilish. There was a fantastic bit where he won the ball back basically outside their penalty box on the right-hand side. And it was like he got the ball back out of absolutely nothing and then wins the free kick. That's what he's all about. And there's some really clever moments on the ball. And I thought his passing was really sharp and just a really good game from Brendan. I think he probably got our first shot on target as well. Second half, he goes and drills that one in. Just a creative spark, isn't he? When he's like that, he's just, he's full of energy. We know the defensive side, but he is a little creative spark as well.
Outside of the two centre backs that we mentioned, I thought he was our man of the match. I thought he played really, really well. I thought in the creative sense, I thought it was good. It was very very accurate with his passes. His distribution was very good today. He wasn't being as wasteful as he sometimes can be. He was doing what he always does in terms of his press, winning the ball high back up the pitch. Yeah. You know, people so often neglect looking at that and how important it is. You know, whether it's pressing the free kick that you mentioned there and we win there, but pressing the ball that then stops them getting out from the back in the way that they want to. He's so effective. And I thought he added a little bit of quality to that as well. He got a shot off on the edge of the box, it wasn't a worldie or anything, but it made Sells make a good save right at the beginning of the second half, cut in from the left and struck the ball with his right. I'm expecting a really positive season for Brendan, because I think we've seen development year on year. People forget how young he was when he first came into the team as well. You know, when he's 21-year-old and moving over to the Premier League, it's tough. He's 25 now. He's at a point where he's hopefully going to really hit a crescendo of his development. And yeah, I thought it were brilliant.
What do you think of? I felt with Wilson and Aronson, not that they're similar. I mean, they are similar stature. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, that I feel like there's a better balance when you've got one quick player on one side and then maybe the tricky, can do something clever with the ball type player as well. In terms of Harry Wilson today, my take on Wilson today was a couple of nice moments. I don't know. I mean, it's his first competitive game, so I don't want to be super critical or anything like that. Nice finish for the goal if that had been, not offside. But yeah, I mean, not a great impact today. I didn't think. I thought he had a couple of sloppy moments as well. I thought he had a couple of moments where he slowed down the attack too much. He kind of had to stop and gather the ball, and it was kind of like, we were kind of bursting forward and he kind of held us back a little bit. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how he adapts going forward. What did you make of Wilson today?
I just think with Wilson, you'll see far less involvement, far more impact than Brendan. That's what I think. You won't get the hustle bustle. You probably won't get as many touches, but when he gets involved, it's going to be impactful, whether that's a cross, whether that's a through ball, whether that's a shot at goal or a goal in itself. I really liked some of the smart bits that he did. I think Harry Wilson, you'll see far less effect away from home as well than at home.
Yeah.
When we're 20 yards further up the pitch and we're trying to break a team down, I think that's when you'll see the best Harry Wilson. But I didn't mind what he did today. I thought he interlinked nicely with Brendan and Calvert-Lewin. They were changing positions. One minute he was on the right, then he was on the left, then he was central. I thought defensively he got back and covered spaces well in the way that Brendan does as well on the other side. I do know what you mean in terms of the quick and having somebody that's a bit more pacey on one side. But I also think that makes us a little bit more one-dimensional, in terms of, all right, you're going to hit a long ball into the channel for Dan James or whatever. Whereas we don't need to do that with Wilson and Aronson quite as much. So, we saw, I'd say probably over the 90 minutes, 3 or 4 occasions where we actually beat the press really well with a really smart passage of play, but we then just didn't hit the final ball in the right way that we should, including the Bogle to Wilson chance. If Wilson leaves that and Calvert-Lewin is behind him scores, we're cooking and we're laughing with a beautiful piece of play. So I'm not overly worried by it. I think it'll take him a little bit of time to fit into the system exactly in the way that he's going to need to. And I think he'll then be further enhanced by Okafor coming in on the other side when Okafor's ready, or then another player potentially coming in. And I know some of the links and the rumours that we're talking about on this left-hand side feel a bit mental, if I'm honest. I can't believe we're even talking about some of them. But yeah, so I'm happy with what we've seen, mate. Really happy. And I know that we've not had a chance to come on to it yet, but I thought Calvert-Lewin were great today as well.
Yeah.
His link-up plays, his back-to-goal stuff and, winning flick-ons. Some of the, controls and linking play today were really, really top level. Just because it doesn't always evolve into being a chance at goal doesn't mean that he's not done great work before it breaks down. I thought it was excellent again.
I thought second half. I thought he had a better second half. I thought first half it was a bit hit and miss. He had that bad tackle as well. But I thought second half it was back to things just being like glue. He's wearing the Velcro pad and he's kind of on it. I do agree with that.
Can we just quickly before we kind of go into breaking the game down, can we talk about the red card? Because
there should have been a red card.
I'm stunned that VAR haven't given that. And they were talking through the commentary about the bar being a bit higher for fouls and stuff. And I thought the referee had a stinker. I thought he had a really, really poor game.
Yeah.
Decisions not being given, but then seconds later, the same tackle had happened and decision being given, inconsistencies. And for me, I just think it's a red card. I just think it's a Stonewall red card.
Yeah, if they're talking about thresholds, and his foot's off the ground.
It's aggressive, isn't it?
Aggressive. It snaps into the player. I mean, it's one of them things again. I mean, it's what's a handball? What isn't a handball? You just kind of left scratching your head. We're just making this up on the fly. So it was. Yeah, and I agree about the ref in general. It was a bit all over the place. Indeed. Some of the other players then that we got to see, Okafor coming on 65th minute. He had a really good moment later on where he dribbled it all the way down the end, and then the final ball kind of threw it away. He had a really sloppy moment though where he lost it on halfway, and I thought they were going to counter us.
Yeah,
really dumb tackle that he made to give them a free kick in a good position as well. But he's just such a different attacker, isn't he, to what we've got, and he is dangerous. Do you expect him to kind of claim that starting position sooner rather than later?
You'd have thought so, given his quality, but you don't know, do you? I mean, we've now won his first game of the season against Brentford next Saturday. Would you expect the team to change much? Who knows what will happen on Tuesday? Injuries and stuff, the less dependent, but we played really well, and everybody that could play in these positions played all right as well. And all that's going to happen is improvement by giving them more game time together. So I think he's probably going to have to earn his spot, and who knows what's going to happen with Noah Okafor if we sign another winger.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a little bit of a chat about that. I saw that result. Bloody hell! What are you doing, West Ham?
Well, it's funny, I was listening to Talk Sport the other day, and Carlton Cole were on taking West Ham fans' calls. I don't know if you've seen this, but they were banging on about they're not going to lose any more than 3 games in the Championship this season. I can't remember who the other co-com was, but they're like, you realise how difficult the Championship is now? Like, you've not been in it for 10, 15 years. Like, it's not the same division. And, they started the season out with 1 point in 2 games and lost at home to Charlton. Who knows how long Nuno... I still expect that they'll probably go up. They've got too much in that team. I mean, I think it's one of the best... Looking at it on the face of it, it's one of the best Championship teams you could ever see. It really is. It's so stacked. Pirro scores, but they lose 2-1. Leicester lose 2-1 at home to Burton today with 10 men. I mean, in League One, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad what's happened to these teams.
It is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We need our money. We need our money. A couple of comments from Daniel Farker coming through, Jay. Very happy. Could not start better. Very difficult away ground. Competitive game. Clean sheet. Several new signings on the pitch. Tight game. Different periods. Started on the front foot. Then Nottingham did. Transition moments and set pieces were dangerous. Won this because we defended very well. Moment of brilliance from Anton Stack. Very tight game. Could have gone other direction, but happy and delighted to convert nearly flawless pre-season.
Spot on overview. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, he's always honest and he's always truthful, and it's very, very much the case that game could have gone 1-0 the other way. I don't think we stole it. I think it were a fair result at the same time. I think the fair result would have probably been petering out to a 0-0. But it could have easily gone one way, and at that stage in the game, you got to be brave to go ahead and try and win the game, and we did.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, we mentioned it on the show on Thursday. I mean, 1971-72, the last time we beat Forest in the top flight of the City Ground, and it is just one of those places. It gets under your skin, doesn't it? And it must be so difficult as a player when that, the crowd, the atmosphere, and everything like that. And I think it's like teams don't look forward to coming to Welland Road for similar reasons. So to get through it and snatch a win, it just feels it's incredible feeling.
I can't honestly, I've said it a few times, but I can't overstate enough how important of a result it could be, how big of a result it is. When I saw the fixtures, I thought Forest away on the opening day, that's going to be really tough. So we're going to be going into the Brentford game really needing a win. Already the pressure has just been diluted massively. The balloon has been let air out of it. It don't feel like as much of a pressure cooker, and that's really important for the season. we mentioned Ipswich and Hull both getting wins. Starting the season strongly is huge. And we don't notoriously start particularly well under Daniel Farker either. No. So going away to Forest, there's a big difference between winning a game away at Forest on the opening day of this season and beating Everton on the opening day of last season at home. Because, we've been out of the Premier League and all the rest of it at home. That's a different challenge completely to this one. So I think it's a huge result. And, it leaves us in a position now where hopefully out of, the opening 10 games, we could try and win 6 of them. It gives us a realistic opportunity to try and do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we get to that point where we're in a position like that, it's the ambitions and the hopes and the dreams are just going to continue to rise. But, look, you want to get to that point where you're safe as fast as possible. You're not in that conversation. I mean, my kind of hope for this season was not to be in that kind of conversation, that conversation about going down like we were last year, for so long.
So, the boys were looking at the league table at the end of the game. I'm not looking at the league table after one game. I'm not doing it. They're already like, oh, we're 5th. I'm like, no. Yeah.
I just remember getting burned on the Marsh season where we'd won 2 out of the first 3 games, and it was like, hey, right, get the passports ready, and here we go. And then we didn't win for about 4 months. Looking at some of the other results, obviously we've mentioned the amazing Hull result today. I mean, by the way, if you're a Scum fan, can you get a more depressing opening day result than that? I mean, because they've got this thing of, we've had such a calm summer and everything's controlled and measured, and Michael Carrick and all this kind of thing. And it's like, there's your wake-up call. You're just back in the mud. You are back in the mud again.
It's a stinker, isn't it? It's a mega stinker. You look at that whole team. I personally, and it's hard to always to do this over generations, and different things. I personally think that's the worst Premier League team we've ever seen that was on paper today. Genuinely, I think it's so bad. Ollie McBurney, Sammy Ajayi, they had Lewis Coyle, right back. He's really, really, really bad. And they go and beat Manchester United 2-0 at home. Now, look, results can happen. It's like an FA Cup game, isn't it? Would it have been the biggest shock that we've ever seen if Championship City Hull had beaten Manchester United in the FA Cup? No, these results happen. But it's a statement of intent, isn't it, from Manchester United? You go out and you just make sure that you get that result. And it's like Arsenal against Coventry last night. That's what a team in their position should do, is go out and just get the job done. And they did. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? It's just funny.
Well, it's that thing as well as that thing of, have they fallen for it again? The interim manager comes in, does well. We'll slap a big contract on them. And there was loads of managers available this summer, loads of movement. They could have, tried to take the pick of a top proven manager, and they've gone with a guy who had declining results and never beats Farker. I love it.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was just looking at some of these players. I just got to mention them quickly. So I mentioned Sammy Ajayi and Louis Coyle. John Egan at centre-back. Sheffield United's John Egan, who wasn't good enough for the Premier League 5 years ago. Regan Slater and Matt Crooks in centre midfield. So Matt Crooks had basically retired. He went over to play in America, I believe, and then came back to Middlesbrough. He's about 33. He's like a proper bottom-end Championship centre midfielder. Ollie McBurney, Ollie McBurney leading your line, and fair play to him.
Do you know what, though? Do you know what? Fair play, because I did see the clip that went round of Joe Cole kind of, and they were kind of laughing like hyenas and just saying how terrible Hull will be. And it wasn't just it's banter on the radio. It was it's a bit kind of taking the piss, really. It's a professional sports team that's being promoted. So I'm really glad, to pick that on them. Yeah, fair play to them. And then, Ipswich, Sunderland. I mean, Ipswich, we had them pegged 3 weeks ago when I did the show with Rich, where I was thinking, you've got a lot of work to do here. I just don't see it. And then their recruitment, they've been, shopping left, right, and centre. They've got a fantastic win. And like you said, just to get off to a winning start, especially as a newly promoted club, it is massive.
Well, Jack Clarke were giving all this to Sunderland fans, on he were proper riling them up. And obviously Jack Clarke had ended up leaving when Ipswich were in the Premier League, and then they came back down and Sunderland went up, and he got a lot of stick for that. And Emerson scored their new striker.
Emerson?
Emerson scored the first, and then Jack Clark scored the winner in the 90th minute. But he's going to be huge because I know that there's been a lot of question marks put at that signing. 22 million for pretty unproven. I think he scored 6 goals for Toulouse last season. That's a lot of pressure on a player that's probably not good enough. So seeing him start the season off well and scoring, I think they've got an outside chance, Ipswich. I really do. When I look through their team in comparison to I was watching Coventry last night, and we have all said before a ball was kicked, Coventry would probably be the best place out of the 3. Having watched them last night, they're miles off it. And I know they're playing Arsenal, so there is that, and we do need to caveat. But when you're watching it, they're a championship team. Van Uwick, Ellis Sims, Matt Grimes in centre midfield, by the way. Like, it's wild. Even Rushworth, who they spent a lot of money on, they think he'll be a good keeper, still feels championshipy right now. And you look through it, there's not a lot of quality within that team. Ipswich, Issa Diop, Lukic, I really, really like. I think Marcelino Nunes in midfield's decent as well, who they signed from Norwich. Leif Davis, will he really be able to step up after another season in the Premier? Who knows? A lot depends for them on Jack Clark having a good season. I think he's big. Emerson being good enough to play enough, and Sherpen the goalkeeper. If he's a find like Roofs was 12 months ago for Sunderland, they stand an outside chance, because I think that there's a lot of variation with what can go on down there. Fulham, Palace, Sunderland, as I've mentioned. I think there'll be a lot looking over the shoulder.
Yeah, indeed. We've got how long now till the window shuts? A couple of weeks, a bit less.
Week on Tuesday, isn't it?
Week on Tuesday, yeah. So not long to go at all. What do Leeds need as a final, bit of the ingredients in this mixture, do you think? Is it that exciting attacker, another striker? I agree with what you said earlier. It feels like there's just one piece missing to really kind of switch on, because this league this year, with everything that's going on, God, it's going to be. It's hard to predict this year, is the league. Maybe not Arsenal winning it, but the rest of it feels up for grabs.
I think it depends on what you're asking. I genuinely think on what the question is makes a big difference. Like, if we are serious and want to finish in the top 8, top 9, top 10, even top half, if you just want to qualify as a top 10, we probably need one more creative outlet. There could be an argument, Brownie, where we say, you know what, we're going to go with what we've got, and we're going to look at it again in 12 months' time after finishing 12th.
Yeah.
Because that will then give us the resources to go at it again and build on what we've got after another year. There is an argument to say that would be actually pretty sensible. So it depends on the market opportunity. And I'm sounding like a politician. I'm sounding like one of the board, but it does. If a market opportunity comes up to sign, I know you don't like him, but Chiesa on a permanent, that would be a signing ahead of where we're at. And I know we can talk about Mudryk as well,
Yeah.
That
was bonkers, wasn't it, when that came through?
Well, it's legit, isn't it? And the fact that it's been reported as we've rejected the opening offer tells me that we're going to be going back in for another one. So that they clearly want to still recruit somebody on that side of the pitch. It just has to be right. Like, if you can make a signing of, the same quality as Stack, Mehramovic, I'm going to Trafford, the quality that's a branch up from where we're at. And I like Noah Okafor, but there is still a gap in our team because of his limitations. If you can find somebody that can do that, then do it. The question, I guess, comes with the striker role.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do if Calvert-Lewin gets injured or is completely out of form or gets suspended? Is Mecha going to be enough? You know what I mean? Is Mecha going to be enough? No.
Now Peru gone as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you're even shorter, aren't you, there?
Well, then are you talking about signing a winger that then replaces the need for Noah Okafor to start there every week, because then Noah Okafor can play up front if we need?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? That's where the question comes, isn't it? So I think it's a super interesting one. I think we will. Spurs are losing at Brentford.
I'm just saying that Spurs losing to Brentford. I mean,
I love it, man. I love it. I think we will make one more signing. It's a matter of question of what that's going to look like.
I think it'll just be one and done.
And a keeper. We'll sign it back away. I was shocked to see Lucas Perry on the bench today, by the way. I did not expect that.
What's going on there?
I know.
What is going on? Is the potential he's going to stay as number 2? Surely not.
You wouldn't have thought so. But there is an avenue to say that might not be the worst thing in the world. Because you've got a keeper 12 months ago that you signed to play as number 1 anyway. Look, Lucas, I'm really sorry, but if we can't find the replacement that we want to sign number 2, you've got a contract with us, you're going to sit on the bench. Yeah. It's as simple as that. So
it's going to be an exciting enter window, though, isn't it? It's got, thinking who's going to come in. I'm sure there's going to be dozens, if not dozens, of links and rumours and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully by the end of it, slam shut and we're happy with what we've got. Skip does ask here, would you start the same team and formation at Ellen Road against Brentford? Yeah, wouldn't have any problem with that, really. I think you're looking, as the squad stands at the moment, that being the best 11. I think there's potential future question marks over, obviously Okafor, being...
And Goodmunson as well, obviously.
Yeah, Goodmunson as well, obviously. Maybe, we'll see what happens with Rodon in that spot as well. Can Elvedi do something? I mean, we're back there on Tuesday night, but don't feel like the same pressure, obviously, as playing in the league.
We'll see a different game on Tuesday.
Yes.
We will.
Do you think wholesale changes?
I think so. I think you'll be talking about maybe 3 or 4 of that team being in. I think Trafford will play, Memrovic, Biol, and Elvedi, I think, will end up playing. I think it'll be a bit of a change. I think Ampadu will play, but then I think outside of that, I think you'll see probably wholesale changes. Yeah. I reckon you might even see Linau play at left back and allow Justin to play right back. I think you'll see Longstaff start. I think you'll see Okafor start. I think you'll see Metcha start. Yeah. I think you'll see Dan James start over Harry Wilson as well. So I would imagine so. It's such a quick turnaround, and then we play again on Saturday. So I can't imagine that there'll be many of the same team. It'll be interesting. I want to win on Tuesday, obviously, but now that this is done, we've already won the war. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah. Just get through it. No injuries, no kind of knocks to any. If there is a key player in there, an Ampadu or anything, just kind of get through it unscathed. And Brentford being a test next week, and the beating Spurs. How does this Brentford team do it? I don't know how they keep doing it, but I tell you what would be hilarious if Spurs have an absolute stinker again this season. I mean, that will just be hilarious after how much they've spent and the hype. I mean, it will be absolutely incredible if they absolutely bomb again.
The thing, I mean, I'm just looking at their team now. I mean, they've still got a lot of the same problems. Like, they've removed some of the big issues, Romero and whatnot, but they have still got some of the big issues. They're still having to play actually great right back. Pedro Porro's obviously late back.
Why have they got rid of Spencer? Why are they trying to get? I don't get that.
I don't know.
Spencer was like in a rich vein of form, played well for England and World Cup. What's going on there? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? But then Bergvall, Gallagher, Tell, Richardson, and then Mikey Moore at right wing. I still look at that. I still look at them. I like Tonali. I think he's good, but I look at that front 6, and I still think you're pretty average.
Yeah, it's certainly not like Champions League kind of, is it? When you look at it, you're like, nah, still a bit of work to do there. And just checking to see if there's any more comments come through from Farker. I think we've had a couple of other ones. I'll just get those up there. If you're not liked the video already, please do smash a like on it and get your comments in as well. Sorry, Jay, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, what do you make of this from Skip? If we do go out and spend 25-30 million on a new striker, I can't see him being on the bench. And this is the territory of conversation that we get into when you're talking about recruitment, because you strikers that are coming in are going to know that Calvert-Lewin's the main man. So how do you recruit for that position, making sure that you get the same quality that you need to actually make a difference? It's really difficult, really, really difficult. What do you think?
It's a real head scratcher. I wonder do you think the game has changed slightly now in terms of, I saw this on an Everton podcast. They were chatting about like the match day squad now with the fact that you can make 5 subs and everything. do players view it slightly different, their game time now? Almost like, okay, there's so much more opportunity to get on the pitch. Is that enough if you spend that kind of money on a striker to kind of justify it and for them to be happy with it? I'm not sure. I always feel like sometimes, especially like a Calvert-Lewin, you can imagine him popping up in the 92nd minute to nod in the win. It's like, do you want to be taking that off the pitch just purely to get someone else on? But then, like you say, it's what have you promised this other player? It must be so difficult. I think the ideal thing is to kind of, if Harry Gray was 20, or 21, and it's like, he's able to kind of occupy that role and still be happy and enough time to develop. But it gets difficult when you're going into the market.
I definitely think it's changed. There's so much money in football now that I actually think some footballers are okay being on the bench.
Yeah,
like there's not this anchoring to play games week in, week out like there maybe was once upon a time. But yeah, you're right. It's really difficult to find that balance of the quality still being there, them being happy, the role within the team being as such that they're only going to play second fiddle Calvert-Lewin, but then, they're not going to really get the chance to play unless he's fully out. We need a striker that can come in, be good enough that he can displace Calvert-Lewin if his form is worthy of it. But that is really hard to find because you're talking about spending 30 to 40 million pounds and then them being happy fighting for that spot. You've got to have a right character as well, haven't you? And it's so tricky to find. And then they've got to be interested in the move. The club's got to be willing to sell them. It's so difficult to get the right persona and profile. And that's why you've got to be careful with not just, turning your nose up at Lucas Mecha, for example. So it's a difficult one. I would like to see a slightly different profile that can just give us a little bit of something different. Should we need it? Maybe to play alongside Calvert-Lewin. We have seen a situation in which we do play two up front now, which is why again the profile is right. That especially a Chiesa more than maybe a Mudryk Chiesa could definitely play alongside Calvert-Lewin as that Brendan Aronson, Noah Okafor floating 9 kind of situation that we have because he presses like crazy. He's pretty quick. I like him. I don't know what your reasons are for not liking him as such.
I'm just underwhelmed. I don't know if it's like maybe looking at some of the links that we've got, it feels a bit more. I can't really put my finger. When I've seen Chiesa, I just feel like I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I just wouldn't be that excited about it.
I think he's had a lot of unfortunate timing at Liverpool. I think he's, he's coming in at crossovers with managers. I don't think he's had a right lot of game time. I think he's had some injuries as well. I think he'd really suit us. Out of the names that have been linked, I'd prefer him over Delap personally. I'd prefer him over Mudryk, only because with Mudryk we don't know what we're going to get. He's been out of playing football for 2 years, and that's a concern to me. Delap, it's funny because I've watched a bit of content with Delap, and I've thawed a little bit in terms of my kind of I don't want him. When I watch back some of the stuff that he did for Ipswich, I actually quite liked some of the stuff that he did. So I've changed my league.
I've changed into a Premier League snob. Yeah, we change so quickly, don't we?
Years are not good enough.
Michael, Paul Merson was saying on Soccer Saturday that Leeds United are nothing special, and if anything, Forest looked like the team to win the match. He said Leeds are a solid team and are likely to finish the same 14th. I mean, look, they paid to get their opinions out there, and it's I mean, I take it with a pinch of salt completely. I think we know as Leeds fans what we've seen, and we know last season I don't think we win that. So not bothered by what Paul Merson's got to say at all. I mean, the amount of games that we deserved to win last year that we didn't win, or we only got a point was through the roof. A couple more comments coming in from Farker as well. So he said, when a goalkeeper has a clean sheet at this level, it is world class. He did not need 10 unbelievable saves, but had presence for his natural aura of confidence. He's obviously Farker's choice for goalkeeper. I think he was 12 months ago from everything we're reading, and you can see it in his comments. Nottingham was putting pressure on us at the time of Okafor's arrival. We wanted to win the momentum back, wanted to send a message we would go for the win. All credit to the players and Noah, not my decision. This is a thing as well. I think Farker, there's an idea that he's like a conservative manager and stuff, and I think it kind of misreads what he's actually about. I think he always talks about attacking and being creative and front-footed, and I think he's bang on. Look, you don't make that kind of substitution if you're just looking to see out the game. So I think I think this idea that Farker's just conservative above all else, I don't see it. I think he's pragmatic when he needs, creative when it needs to be, and I think that's spot on.
I don't think Farker's ever been negative or conservative, whatever word you kind of want. I think pragmatic is a fair word. There were a lot of criticism when we were in the Championship for him going 2-0 up and then just closing up shop. Why wouldn't you do that? It don't make sense to do anything other than that. You throw away games when you then needlessly concede. And I think he's also developed. I think he's got better at managing them stages of the game. There were once upon a time where he just used to bring on a striker when we needed a result. We don't really see that anymore. And there's far more development within the team. But a lot of that is because he's now got the profiles and the personnel to do that. So I don't think you can label any negativity at Farker's door. I don't know what more you could want from Daniel Farker. You're talking about him being one of the top 10 managers in the division. I would say, I think he's in that conversation from what we've seen over the last couple of years. And right now, we're not in a position where we can go out and get Unai Emery.
No. Well, he made a great point in the press conference on Friday. He was saying, or Thursday, he was saying, what has this team done in the last 25 years? And he's not digging Leeds out. He's just saying, what have we done in terms of finishing positions? One ninth place finish under Marcelo is the only one that's been better. So phenomenal. Couple other things as well. Hopefully getting there, because to establish in this league, we need to add individual quality. Hopefully it's a better squad than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Important to show spirit and grind out a result, not just waiting for a moment to win it on a set piece. Good comment here on Stack. He says, I trust Stack with everything. He has even released a burger. You never expect him to do this. He's a bit of a weird, crazy guy.
The guy is mental, innit? I mean, if you watch his Mustachey TV, and he's done behind the scenes as well, like he did like a crib style video with his missus, and the guy is a character. He's a proper character, and he's so comfortable in front of camera, so comfortable like interviewing people, and like that doesn't surprise me. But it's great for the dressing room. Like, it's so good to have them kind of personalities. And that, for me, is where Farker really has earned his money over the last 3-4 years, is the dressing room, the camaraderie, And to do that still in year 4 we're in now is impressive. Like, managers have short shelf lives. To carry on reinventing that and then continue to bring in the right players to add to that as well. When you see Tarek talk, and you can see the kind of personality that he is. You can see that he perfectly fits in this dressing room. Yeah. So, I think it's unbelievable credit. I want to carry on talking as long as you're talking.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing this, and I've just checked it. Archie Gray, Tottenham captain, and I had to double. Not that I don't believe Michael, but I went on to the Sky Sports app to check. He's actually been named as their captain today. They've got Marco Senesi in the team. They've got Andy Robertson in the same back line. They've got Conor Gallagher, Sandro Tonali in that team. And you're naming Archie Gray as your captain. Like, what? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been said about how mature Archie is and blah, 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 future England captain. But that is insane. Yeah. That's like, I mean, he dropped him last season as well. He dropped him for a period of time as well. So, I mean, that doesn't scream kind of stability or we know what we're doing at all.
It feels to me like it's a De Zerbi thing to kind of show his teeth to the experienced players within the team. It's like he's trying to prove a point to some of the other players in that team. That don't help. That will turn them away, and it also puts unbelievable pressure on Archie Gray. I think that's such a bizarre moment.
Bonkers. Steve, the scum can only dream of having Farker as a manager. Do you know what? Because I'm astonished Michael Carrick is in charge of, I'd say it with gritted teeth, one of the biggest clubs in the world, successful, blah, 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 blah. What's he done compared to Farker in terms of managerial achievements? He's if he never played for Manchester United, would he have got anywhere near getting that job permanent? Look, I love them making terrible decision after terrible decision. I just think it's bonkers. I think Carragher's such an inflated reputation. Absolutely inflated reputation.
He's got Johnny Woodgate sat alongside him as well, who also equally failed just as badly at Middlesbrough. You know, they're a bit of a weird combo duo act. I mean, Johnny Woodgate had a couple of spells at Middlesbrough and got sacked both times. And I know that can happen, but for them to both end up as like this management team at Manchester United, such a big club, and it's mental. And the football that they play isn't good. There's nothing special about it. You know, we saw in pre-season they had a couple of nice moments, but they've got some serious issues there. And the recruitment's funny because they've attacked the midfield and replaced some of the issues that they had. And I don't think the recruitment's been terrible, but they've still got so many gaping holes in that team. You know, the defence is real patchy. I still think they've got an issue up front in the 9. They can't quite get that right. You know, when you're playing Cunha as your out-and-out striker, he's not that kind of player. He's more of a 10 or a creative outlet. He's not the out-and-out striker. So they've got some issues there, mate. They've got some big issues. And you're right on Farker. Like, it's good for Leeds because it keeps anybody away from him. But the reputation that the Norwich time has given him has really undersold just how good of a coach he is.
Yeah, it really, that's what it feels all based on. Oh my God, 2-0. Do you know this Premier League that you know has just kicked off? I mean, it could be absolutely bonkers this season. I mean, some of the things that could be going on. I mean, it's we've got Villa Brighton tomorrow. God knows what shape Villa are going to be in. I mean, I don't even know where they haven't even got a striker at the minute who can help Watkins. That's in disarray now. Tammy Abrams is injured. The young lad that came on the other night, he's injured. They're a mess. Newcastle tomorrow. I mean, you know, what's happening with Newcastle? You got Fulham, Chelsea. We don't know where those two teams are going. I mean, this Premier League campaign, Jay, I mean, it could be absolutely bonkers.
It really could, mate. It could be the most bizarre Premier League season of all time. You know, you're talking about half of the division are under new management. Yeah. That's mental in itself. And there's some huge clubs within that too. You've then got some huge transitional moments in terms of squad rotation and stuff as well. And then the 3 new teams. I mean, I still think, regardless of what's happened this weekend, the 3 new teams will probably still be below where we're thinking. But it depends, you know, after game week 10, if you're seeing Sunderland and Fulham and Palace, I keep mentioning them 3 because I think they're the 3 that are most going to be in danger. Yeah. You know, Palace have made some really strange signings. No, and the manager is really unproven. You know, Marco Rose at Bournemouth, as an example, he's got some serious pedigree. And Bournemouth have been very sensible about making sure that it followed on from Iriola. Yeah. This Palace recruitment just seems like a slapdash. You know, they've just spent 20-something million on a winger from the MLS of Spurs. It feels... not Spurs, sorry, Palace. It feels very...
Bringing Dwight McNeil. Yeah. I mean, what on earth was that swap deal about? Like, why on earth would you... I mean...
You just set... In my opinion there, you've just set 25 million quid on fire. Yeah. Because Brennan Johnson, I know he's not been great since leaving Forest, but he's a player. There's a player in Brennan Johnson. Yeah. You know what you're getting with Dwight McNeil. At least there's some potential return with Brennan Johnson. But I don't know. It's really, really strange. I think the lads kind of hit the nail on the head. I think there's some probably creative accounting somewhere going on in that deal. But yeah, really strange.
Totally bizarre. Back with Leeds United though. Opening day win. Jay, we can watch Match of the Day tonight and just soak it in. You know, we talked last season about how rare it was to win a game in the Premier League. And just for history's sake, the last time we beat Forest opening day season was the 91-92 season. And we all know what happened then. Did you get your bet on, Jay, in the end? I did, you know.
Did you? Have you thought a little
I thought about it a couple of days ago. I was, stick a tenner on it. And then when you said it in the group, I was like, I'm going to do it, you know.
Obviously, since Leicester won the division in the season that they shouldn't have done at the 5,000 to 1, the bookies have gone mental with making sure that doesn't happen again. And they've not even they're not looking to entice people, because it cost them something like 26 million quid. They did that in paid bets. So if it had been 1,000 to 1 plus, I'd have probably have done it. I didn't, as it happened, at 500 to 1. Obviously, it's almost certainly not going to happen. But there feels to be a momentum that's dragging Leeds United in a certain way. Now, I think ultimately it'll probably work its way out, because sport usually does. And this team will finish somewhere between 8th and 13th, dependent on the recruitment that we do. But if we get to the end of the season and we finished 5th, I wouldn't be hugely surprised, because I think the Premier League's in such a disarray this season anyway, and I think Leeds United are so settled, and I also think there's so much quality now developed within this team. Farke's so settled as well. I just think there's something about what's going on. Hopefully we don't get clipped up against the end of the season, we've been relegated, but it feels like we're a big tanker pulling in that way.
I think that sums it up absolutely how I feel.
It feels, and it's felt like the moment we stayed up last season and how the summer has unfolded, the signings, the pre-season, the lack of drama, the lack of any of that nonsense, the quality of the signings, it does feel like we're pulled in this direction of momentum, whatever you want to call it. Can work both ways. Things can start to go against you and it can go the other way. But
it just feels, you're probably talking, oh God, I can't remember the last time as a Leeds fan like this, because it was kind of weird under Bielsa. It was like that first season was still stressful in the Premier League, because it was like still you didn't really know. And the second season, it very quickly became apparent that this was going to be a real slog. This time it feels like we're doing things properly, and with the potential, who knows where it's going to go, and also the opportunity with what's happening in the league. Who knows, Jay? Who knows? But I'm just so glad we've got off to a winning start.
It can be said with a bit of hindsight, because we obviously now know what's happened. But it always felt like the wheels were going to fall off eventually under Radzonata. I don't think it was just a Bielsa thing. I think it was a Radzonata thing. Yeah. And I think anybody that kind of looked at it with any sort of realism, when we signed Junior Firpo and Dan James, we knew we were in a spot of bother. Yeah. I think I was never one of these that finished 9th and saw us kicking on. I just didn't. There were too many invariables that happened. We needed Luke Haley, Stuart Dallas, Liam Cooper, and all them to have another season to that level. It was always going to be difficult. Bamford hit 17 goals. That was never going to happen 2 seasons in a row. Then the recruitment just didn't improve us. It actually made us worse. Really, we lost Gianni Alioski, who was not a great left back, but better than Junior Firpo. And Dan James, I don't know who Dan James even really replaced. I don't know if he did. Helder Costa?
Yeah, we're just stuck in there, wasn't he, really?
Yeah. So, I think it were. This feels nothing like it. No. It feels like just a development. The result and performance that we saw today was testament, I think, of what we expected to see. Solid, difficult to beat, really good defensively, some creative moments. We play to our strengths and we win the game.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Steve says he hope Farke signs a new contract soon. It would be terrible for this club if we lost him.
It's funny because when we were going through those managers,
when we got relegated, Garcia and Allardyce and all that, and I said at the time it takes a special kind of personality to bring this together at Leeds. We're just one of those clubs. I don't see us ever operating in that kind of Bournemouth, Brighton kind of way or Brentford, where it's like interchangeable people pass through the door and it's fine. It just carries on that continuity.
I look at like Villa now with Emery. I feel like we're kind of a similar kind of club where it's like it's so difficult to manage us. It's such a it must be such a pressure job. And I think Farke has got broad enough shoulders for it. I think he's proven time and time again. And it's just fascinating to see where it's gonna go to.
I still don't think he gets anywhere near the credit he deserves. You're absolutely spot on. The job at Leeds United is an absolute juggernaut. And he manages to constantly get the recruitment right along with the recruitment team. He constantly manages to be able to develop a harmony in a dressing room that everybody wants to be a part of. They don't look like there's any pressure playing for Leeds United, which we've seen over the years. Even top managers have struggled to be able to transfer onto the pitch a calmness, no pressure attached to what they're doing. They all want to play for the shirt. They want to play for each other. I don't think he gets anywhere near the credit he deserves. I think it's hard again over generations, and Bielsa was such a one-off, and I say this all the time, he's my bloody hero, but I think Farke's the best manager we've had in my lifetime. Yeah. I think David O'Leary found a certain time at Leeds United with the youngsters, but in terms of the job that Daniel Farke's had to do, it was bigger. It was bigger than that, because we were already successful when David O'Leary took over, and he had untold millions where Ridsdale shouldn't have been throwing it at him. You know what I mean? Like
incredible youth product line.
Yeah.
Like, here's Harry Kewell and Jonathan Woodgate and Alan Smith. Like
exactly. So yeah. I think it's just a sensational job in what he's doing, and he continues to surpass himself. And in the interview the other day, I thought it was brilliant. The way that he kind of tried to, make people understand this Leeds United over the last 25 years has not achieved anything. We've not had 2 successful seasons back-to-back in the Premier League since David O'Leary in about 1999, 2000, 2001, in and around that bracket. He's absolutely spot on. Getting 2 successful seasons at the top level in a row is a huge job right now. So let's just focus on that.
Absolutely, 100%. Totally agree.
I thought he took the pressure off the new boys really well as well, in what he said in terms of, and what he was trying to get at was spot on. That Pascal Stroik's levels last season and Carl Darlow's levels last season, as an example, were already so high. So these 2 players coming in, if they can just match that for this season, is going to be impressive. Yeah. Now, what he's doing is he's taking the pressure away. He wants them to improve, as of course he does, but he's taking the pressure away. He's just saying, just match that right now, because we understand we've signed you for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, and what you can give us, and he's super, super clever.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And look, we know if he's still at the club by the end of the season, it's been a good season. Absolutely. Good stuff. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone who got involved and commented. Really appreciate it. If you've not done so already, please do like the video and get subscribed to the channel as well. What are we doing about Tuesday night, actually? Are you watching the game?
I haven't decided yet. I usually play football on Tuesday, but I might miss it. I usually do. If ever Leeds play on a Tuesday, I usually miss it. But given the fact that we've won and it's at the City Ground again, it's Forest again, I don't know. I'm kind of.
I know you do. I know you on the day. You can't resist.
Watch it. I'll probably watch it. But yeah, we'll stream afterwards.
Yeah, we'll do something. Brilliant, great stuff. Well, thank you very much for watching. I've been Sim Brown with me, Jason Booker. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.